Okay, so as you all know, now Kedah has already entered the phase 4. So all staff are, now we work as usual now in the office. So the movement, we expect more students or activities to resume more normal lah in the campus. Okay, so here I'm also I think this is the first time lah I'm teaching from the office. Previously all were done from my house. Okay, so today and onwards lah. Okay, from today onwards, I haven't brought my camera with me, so there will be no camera because my laptop camera for some reason has stopped working, so I'm relying on the USB camera. Okay, I did not bring the camera today, so but on Thursday I will try to bring it, okay, to the office. So what we have discussed so far, okay, and before I forget, okay, as what I mentioned in the morning for Group B as well. Now we are already in week 5, okay, so and we still have a lot to cover for our syllabus. We are just finishing half of chapter 1, okay, whereby we got many other sections from the syllabus, especially if we go through the chapter by chapter, chapter 1, chapter 2, literature review, and then what will be in your method, okay, chapter 3 and so forth, okay, especially chapter 2 and chapter 3, okay, because for the results and discussion, it shouldn't take that much time, okay. So I'm using a few theses from the Google Drive, okay, especially thesis number 2, number 20 and number 28. Okay, so this is just at random lah. Okay, the 20 and 28 are using primary data from questionnaire. Thesis number 2 is based on secondary data, which is relying on regression technique. Okay, but that is not what I want to focus today. So what we have done for the past 1 month, okay, is to go through the background of the study, okay, whereby you need to justify and explain as much as possible using some data, okay, from general topic to specific discussion on the topic of your research, okay, and mention some of the previous articles or study that are related to your study so that it can justify why you need, why is studying or doing research on your topic is important. And then you continue on the problem statement, okay, which I mentioned, okay, maximum around 2 pages long. If you follow the structure that we have discussed before, 3 paragraphs, you can have more than 3 paragraphs if you want, okay, but not exceeding like 2 pages long. So you can have like two paragraph for the first part, 2 paragraph for the second part, and maybe 1 paragraph for the last part. Okay, as long as it doesn't exceed 300 to 400 or even 500 words. Okay, even though you may find some theses longer than that for their problem statement, but the ideal length, especially at your level for undergraduate, okay, I don't expect the problem statement to be that long. Okay, and having said that, okay, by this coming Sunday, okay, which is on the 14th of November, so you need to submit a draft of your chapter 1. So I will explain that what is required for because I want the progress of your thesis, okay, to be submitted continuously, meaning that by the time you have we go for the group presentation. So at least by then, because group presentation is supposed to be until chapter number 4, because that's when you got the results already for your project. Okay, so meaning that the submission for the chapter by chapter should be done continuously. So because we are already in week number 5, so I cannot wait any longer. Okay, so you have 1 week actually to complete. When I say submission, it's not like that it will be the final version. Okay, it's just a draft. And I will just specify maybe a few pages long for your background of the study. At least I can see that you are on track. Okay, what do you want to do? Okay, and how and whether you are on the right track to actually do the discussion on your particular topic. Okay, So that will be the so I will specify the instruction on your OL later today. Okay, how many? It shouldn't be that long because even for the whole thesis or for the whole project, okay, it shouldn't take more than maybe 50, 60 pages long, including all the table references and whatnot. Okay, so you might think it's a lot, but by the time you start writing, having all the table, the results, okay, it can easily go more than that. So that is what is the normal scenario lah, okay, for a group assignment. Okay, so the one that we discussed previously on the problem statement. So I know as what we have discussed before, some groups require changes in the topic, okay, or revision on the problem statement lah. Okay, so that it will reflect the focus of our study, because I think many of the groups are going to do on UUM, okay, whether UUM as a whole or SAFB or COB. So all depending on the topic that you are doing lah. But I think many groups will be focusing on UUM as their focus or samples. Okay, the focus of the research will be based on UUM students. So that should be reflected in the background and also in the problem statement as well. You need to highlight, in terms of, for example, if the focus is among graduates or undergraduates, so at least some of the content of your background, okay, and the problem statement should reflect, okay, those age group, meaning students, among students. I mean, not UM per se, but because if your sample come from people around samples around that age, okay, 20 plus, early 20s, especially among students. So you need to have some discussion on that lah in the background as well. Okay. So I mean, of course, this is a continuous process. I don't expect the quality of your project to be as, I mean, like a master's thesis. But as long as we I can see that you understand what is required, what is needed in the background, especially for the problem statement, that you can explain from the perspective of what we have discussed before. Okay, why is it important for you to do that particular topic? What is the consequences of not actually solving or providing answer to the problem, and who will benefit from the research? Okay, what is why do you want to do it? Okay, what is the gap, or what is still missing from the literature, from the I mean, I think at your level, I don't expect you to actually justify why you want to do this particular project. Is because no one has done it before. Okay, because many of the topics that you chose is just based on previous thesis, meaning you are following some of the student thesis from the Google Scholar or from other projects that you can find from the internet. It's just that you are focusing mainly on your using a new sample, focusing among UM students. But at least you need to write in a way that what you are doing can still contribute to the academic world. So that is why that is what we are doing when it comes to writing a thesis or writing a journal. Okay, when you refer to a journal paper, when you are referring to a thesis, it is not like referring to a newspaper article, because newspaper article does not need to be academically correct, meaning that it does not need to follow certain structure. You don't need to refer to past study, refer to journal in order to justify why you are doing that, what is the what other people has found. So that is newspaper article. But when it comes to writing a thesis or a journal, there must be a certain format and requirement that you need to fulfill. Okay, so, and one of the main requirement is having this problem statement. You need to justify strongly, okay, why is it important for you? What is the main issue, and why is it important for you to investigate the issue as part of the requirement in the problem statement? So that must be specified clearly, okay, and attract enough attention, okay, for me as a reader of your project, so that you, whatever that you are doing, you understand that there is a merit, okay, ada kepentingan, okay, there is a strong justification as to why you are doing that particular issue lah, not simply you are doing for the sake of assignment. Okay, of course, it's part of your requirement for this paper, but if you are doing it for the for a different reason, so there must be a reason why you are choosing that particular topic. Okay, so we have discussed in great detail about problem statement and also background of the study. Okay, you can always refer to the previous videos where we discussed them. Okay, so the next part in the chapter 1, okay, is the research question and research objective. So I'm referring to this thesis number 2, okay, because I think the layout of the format is very nice and simple to follow. Okay, of course there are many other theses that have similar structure, but I just randomly open this particular thesis and I find it very simple, and it follows the normal template of a thesis. So you start with the background, okay, problem statement, and now we want to focus on what is research question. Okay, so research question and objective of the study 1.4 and 1.5, this is like a two-in-one, meaning that whenever you write your research question, it must be follow suit with the objective of the study. So let's go to this particular thesis, okay, and the other two theses which I have already open in my computer right now. Where is it? Okay. So what is research question? So that is the first thing that you need to know. The word research question is what are the questions that you want to answer. And because the nature of our subject this semester, we require the use of primary data from in which your data is collected from questionnaire. So the nature of research using questionnaire is quite different than research using secondary data. Secondary data, I mean, okay, usually you are referring or required to use some sort of regression technique, okay, the one that you learn in basic econometric, but of course there are more advanced method, okay, for you to analyze your data. Okay, so that is using secondary data, but whether you are using primary data or you are using secondary data, research questions are the main, it will list 3 or 4 important things that you want to investigate. Okay, it's basically a continuation from your problem statement. Okay, because in your problem statement, especially in paragraph number 2, the second part of your problem statement, you will highlight what is the problem that has not been addressed, has not been discussed before, or what is the consequences of not if you don't do this particular research. Okay, what problems or what issues that you cannot solve. So or what is the main issue that you want to highlight in the problem statement? Why is it a problem in the first place? Okay, for example, you are talking about this particular topic here, entrepreneurial intention among UUM students. Okay, so the issue could be because the high unemployment rate among graduates, among fresh graduates, because they rely on being employee, okay, being absorbed into the job market. But in order to, one of the ways to reduce graduate unemployment is by involving in entrepreneurial activity. So that is the problem that you may want to highlight. How significant or how important is the intention among students to actually getting involved in entrepreneurial activity. So that is the problem that you may want to highlight, is the growing cases of unemployment among undergraduates, especially now during COVID-19, with the job market not stable. Many companies are forced to shut down and whatnot lah. Okay, so the issue that you want to highlight will be part of your second paragraph or third paragraph in your problem statement. So once you have justified why is it's so important for you to investigate the issue, now in order to expand why is it important, so you want to there are some questions that you need to answer. Okay, you are asking some questions so that the problem that you raise in the problem statement can be provided, you can provide some answers to the issue that you highlighted in the problem statement. So for undergraduate and master's level, I only require maximum of three research questions, not 4, not 5. Okay, even though you may find some thesis at master's level have even 4 or 5 research questions, but 3 should be more than enough. Okay, so first, what is research question and how do you construct your research question? Okay, and the choice of words will actually be very important, and you need to be consistent. Okay, the word consistency is very important in constructing your research question. So what is the choice of words? Usually, first it must be in the form of question mark, meaning in the form of question lah. You are asking a question. Okay, for example, for this particular topic, what is the impact? Okay, so the author keeps using the same words. What is the impact? What is the impact of FDI on blah blah blah? Because this is basically a regression question. Okay, looking at the impact of X on Y. Okay, if you have learned basic econometric, you know about dependent variable and independent variables X and Y. So the student is using secondary data. So basically, the research question is about asking the questions about the relationship between X and Y lah, for the different variables that the student have in the thesis. Okay, so and for this one on the entrepreneurial intention, so you can see that the is risk-taking propensity, is need for achievement, is entrepreneurship education. So these are the three objectives, three variables or three issues that the student want to investigate. And then the student follows by the keyword, is it has any relationship or related? Okay, so the choice of word is, I mean, you can rewrite this in a different way. Is there any relationship between risk-taking and entrepreneurial intention? Okay, is there any relationship between need for achievement and entrepreneurial intention? So basically, you are repeating the sentence 3 times, but focusing on different aspect. Okay, so this is 1, 2, and 3. So 3 different objectives that you want to answer. Okay, based on the issue that you raise in the problem statement. Okay, because the problem statement you are highlighting on the need for the student to get involved in entrepreneurial activity. Okay, and in order for you to understand about the intention among students, so you need to know whether this factor contribute to the entrepreneurial intention. So of course, what question to ask, you cannot simply create on your own. You need to based on past study, past thesis, okay, past journals, okay, past articles. You need to read, and especially as I mentioned before, okay, when you choose a topic, okay, make sure that you have some thesis, some journals for you to refer to as your guideline. Meaning you are not doing something completely new or different, and then you have problem to create the research question. So if you have a thesis or a few theses for you to refer to, so you may use the research question from that thesis, but you need to modify lah, because if you are focusing on UUM, then it should be something like this lah. Okay, so it must be related to the focus group. I mean, which group or which population are you focusing? As I think I suggested, some of the group you can focus among SAAB student, okay, or COB student. So that should be reflected in your problem, in your research question. Okay, and the same goes to this thesis on the intention to purchase halal products. Okay, so the student use the word does intention. Okay, does intention to purchase halal products. Okay, as the beginning of the sentence. Okay, does intention to purchase halal product as the first 2 research questions, and then followed by the other 2. Okay, attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavior. So for those who are doing topic on intention to purchase, intention to use online platform, online purchase, all this, anything to do with intention, when you read thesis related to that, you will find scope that related to these items, meaning that these are the paradigm or these are the perspective that you need to answer, okay, that you need to investigate in order for you to understand the topic of intention. Okay, intention. So this is actually not much related to economy when it comes to the theory, because this is not a theory under economy. I think this is more under management. Okay, but I still can allow a topic like this because you are still focusing on the issue of, you know, demand and supply, on the intention to purchase halal products. So these are still related to some sort of economic issue also lah. Okay, so but the main thing that I want to highlight is the keyword use. Okay, so you only require 3 research questions. So for example, if you are talking about the unemployment among graduates, okay, unemployment among graduates, and you want to look at this something about this entrepreneurial intention, okay. So what you are asking to actually investigate, it must be able to be, you must be able to answer this question from the questionnaire that you use. Okay, so that is one thing that you need to be aware as well. So your questions from the questionnaire, okay, that you will send to your respondent should have components that will allow you to answer these questions. And again, okay, as I mentioned many times, okay, it's better to have a topic that you can already have sample questionnaires where you can use and perhaps modify a little bit so that it will reflect the scope of your study for this semester. Okay, so you don't need to construct the questions from zero lah. Okay, so because it will take a lot of time. Okay, so only 3 questions are required at your level for your assignment. Okay, and after you have finished constructing your research question, the next or the immediate part will be your objective of the study. Because if you got 3 research questions, it must be matched exactly with 3 research objectives. And the research questions and the research objective are basically similar things, only the way you construct the sentence are different, meaning that questions is in the form of question, what is the impact, what is the impact, and then for research objective, you can begin, again, be consistent, okay, if you want to use the word to examine, okay, to examine the impact, because the research question start with the question, what is the impact? So the word impact is here, then followed by to examine the impact, to examine the impact. So it might sound repetitive, berulang-ulang, but that is what thesis writing is about. It's about consistency and easy to understand, easy to follow. Okay, do not be too creative in the choice of word until you already make yourself and also me lah, okay, as the reader of your thesis become confused. What do you actually want to investigate? Okay, and for this particular thesis, you can see that, okay, for this particular thesis, it's a bit strange because the normal way is you have research question first and then followed by research objective. But for this particular thesis, I think it's the other way around, which I do not want you to do this way lah. Okay, it must be research question first, then you have your research objective, because when you ask the question, then it's followed by what do you actually want to do lah. Okay, but putting that aside, you can see that research objective for this particular student, okay, to examine, okay, the relationship, okay, to examine the relationship. Okay, so the word to examine is repeated 3 times. Okay, the word relationship is basically from the word related. Okay, because you are asking, is there any relationship between this and this, this and this? So the research objective basically follow the same style, to examine the relationship between A and B lah. Okay, so the sequence must be the same, meaning that if the first research question is about, for example, this one, okay, it's about risk-taking, okay, the first research question is about risk-taking and intention to purchase, intention of entrepreneurial intention. So research objective, the first one must be the same as well, risk-taking and entrepreneurial intention. You cannot switch the, meaning that the sequence must be consistent. Is the first one, second one is on achievement, then this must be on the achievement as well. So basically you are just following the same structure of your research question. And when you write your research objective, okay, it follows the same sequence jugalah, same sequence. There's no changes in the tak ada perubahan dalam sequence the way you write your research objective. Okay, so remember, okay, you can refer to this thesis number 2 here on the from the Google Drive, okay, as your template, okay, for the format of your thesis. Okay, at least for chapter 1 lah, meaning that when you write down your chapter 1, okay, you can follow the structure of the okay, of your chapter 1. You can get it from this particular thesis lah, okay, this one. Okay, so you start with background, introduction, background, problem statement, and then research question. Okay, I require 3, and then research objective 3 lah to match the research question. Okay, now there is one important thing that you need to take note. Okay, how do you know what question to ask? So again, this is based on your reading lah, the thesis that you are referring to, and also the information that you get from other papers, other journals. Okay, when you want to do that particular topic, what are the common research questions that student will ask in the thesis? Okay, so do not simply create your own question, because then you will have problem to actually construct the questions in the questionnaire, because whatever that you ask in the research question, you must provide questions in the questionnaire. Okay, so that whatever you plan to ask, okay, can be answered from the questionnaire. So, but the issue that many students fail to or are not able to do correctly is that whatever that you ask in the research question, okay, for example, in this particular thesis about the entrepreneurial intention. Okay, so we have three components or 3 questions that the student want to ask. Okay, one is the risk taking related to intention. Second is the need for achievement, and the third one is education. So there are 3 variables or 3 factors that can affect entrepreneurial intention. Okay, so these 3 factors, okay, you cannot simply introduce, okay, these 3 factors only in the research question. These 3 factors must be mentioned somewhere before, and the best place to mention these 3 factors is in the background of the study. Okay, or i.e. in your introduction lah, I mean 1.2. Okay, in the background of the study, you must mention somewhere along the your background, okay, about these 3 factors that you that is related to the entrepreneurial intention. How to do it? Okay, when you read the thesis, okay, for example, thesis number 2 here, you will find that in the introduction, okay, you need to provide discussion from general to specific. I mentioned this several times. General means if you're focusing on UUM, okay, maybe the first paragraph or the first 2 paragraphs, you might want to mention about, from the Malaysia perspective or from the world perspective, okay, and then you want to narrow down on the Malaysian perspective, okay, and then focusing on the undergraduates, for example. So that will be the discussion that you need to have in the background, and providing some data, tables, pie chart, whatever lah, some table that you get from the Department of Statistics, just to justify, for example, statistics about unemployment among graduates, whatever information that you think is related to the issue. But at the same time, your introduction can also introduce, or you can also include references or citation. Okay, the correct word is citation. You can cite articles, okay, or journal from previous study that is related to your issue, just because you must remember academic writing is not a newspaper article. Okay, newspaper article you can goreng lah, you can write, okay, maybe have some figures here and there, some data here and there, but you do not need references or citation from articles. Okay, that is the main difference, one of the main difference between newspaper article or blog article from blogs, or versus article from journal or thesis. Okay, so in thesis writing, you cannot simply write without having refer to who actually said that, who actually came out with the statement, who actually mentioned this. So that is what the citation is about, meaning that you are going to refer to some studies to strengthen your argument. Okay, so that is where academic writing is different than newspaper writing. Okay, because whatever sentence or whatever information that you provide, especially if it involve mentioning about the relationship between A and B, hubungan antara faktor A, faktor B. Okay, you need to, if there is a relevant literature or articles that can support you, then you need to provide this. So that brings me to these three questions lah. Okay, whether you are doing, for example, we are using this as an example. Okay, risk-taking, achievement, and education. So somewhere in your introduction, okay, you must mention that who actually mentioned that, or who actually has done research that confirm or mention that risk-taking is a important factor to promote entrepreneurial activity. The same goes with achievement and also education. So these three factors, you must mention somewhere in the background, okay, by using past study lah, something like this, okay. There are, so when you read the thesis that you are referring to, okay, kena carilah, you must mention very briefly, not too detailed. Why not too detailed? Because the more detailed discussion will be provided in chapter 2 in the literature review. Okay, so literature review will provide more detailed discussion on the whatever evidence, whatever articles that they have done similar topic, like your topic lah. Okay, but background is just a simple introduction only, a very brief, okay, meringkasan. Okay, you just want to mention a few articles that have mentioned the three factors or the three things that you want to investigate. So because when as I mentioned, from background to problem statement to research question, so this must be interrelated, must be connected somehow. So in the problem statement, you are only focusing on the main issue. So the main issue will be maybe about, promoting entrepreneurial activity as a way to reduce graduate unemployment, for example. Okay, but you cannot mention all these factors in the problem statement. There is not enough space, and because that's why problem statement is very short. Okay, 300 words, 400 words, 500 words maximum. So you cannot simply. Okay, so yeah, so these three factors, these three variables, okay, if you look at this particular thesis, intention to purchase halal product, does it differ significantly between gender? So the factor of gender, ethnic groups, okay, and the other factors here, subjective norm, these factors that can influence the intention to purchase halal product, you must mention somewhere in the background, meaning that which study have actually discuss that gender will contribute to the intention to, genders will actually be an important factor to determine whether you want to buy or not halal products. Okay, the same goes with ethnic. Maybe there are differences in terms of ethnic group and religion. For example, for Muslim, of course, the halal product will be more relevant, okay, compared to other religion, because some religion, the word halal is more applicable for Muslim. Okay, but maybe some other religion are also looking for halal product for other reasons, maybe because of quality assurance and whatnot. So, but you cannot simply introduce this research question without mentioning this factor in the background. So you need to mention somewhere in the background about these factors that you want to analyze, that you want to put as your research question in 1.3. So it must be mentioned somewhere in the background. So how do you want to do it? So that is based on your reading lah. You read as many theses as possible, and try to see how these factors that you want to ask in your research question, how is these factors can be introduced or can be discussed briefly. Okay, when I say briefly, meaning that not too much lah. Okay, not too much discussion, because the discussion will be more detailed about these factors in the literature review, okay, which is what I want to discuss today lah. Okay, so that is what is required for you in your submission by end of this week. And if you look at the structure of chapter 1, okay, beside the after you have done with your research question and research objective, which I think very simple to do in just a few sentences, okay, and then you can see that after that is 1.6, which is justification and contribution, okay. But I would like you to use okay, for example, let me go through this. Okay, so for this thesis, because this is a PhD thesis, so maybe it's a bit slightly more detailed. But what is required for you is this one, not justification, but just contribution. Okay, contribution of the study, scope of the study, and plan of the study. Okay, so this one, no need lah. Okay, so in your chapter 1, you need to have introduction, background, problem statement, research question, followed by the objective, contribution, or you can also use the word significance. Significance of the study is referring to the same thing. Okay, referring to the same thing. And then scope of the study. Scope of the study is which population are you focusing? And I think many students, many groups will be using UUM, UMCOB or UUM-SAFB as the scope of your study. So you can refer to the thesis, other thesis, see how they actually write the scope of the study. Okay, but for this thesis, there is no scope of the study. Okay, and some thesis, they have different way to construct their chapter 1. Okay, for example, this one, key terms, which I don't need lah. Okay, so that's why I want you to follow the outline from thesis number 2 here. Okay, straight to the point, simple to follow. Okay, after problem statement, the research question, and then the objective, and then significance of the study or contribution of the study is the same thing. Okay, basically the contribution of the study ni or significance of the study is an extension, okay, sambungan daripada paragraph 3 here. If you recall from your problem statement, okay, one of the part or the last part in your problem statement is you want to highlight who will benefit from this study. Okay, why is your study important? Okay, but you only discuss them quite briefly lah. Okay, so basically significance of the study ni, okay, is an extension, sambungan, okay, from your problem statement under the last paragraph. Okay, again, you can refer to this thesis or any other thesis, see how students actually write down the significance of the study. So if your study focuses on UUM SAFB, okay, our School of Economics, Finance and Banking, okay, so when your study focuses on UUM, so who will benefit from the study? So maybe mostly will be the management, okay, the department of students, so that when they, for example, if you are doing, I mean, whatever that you want to highlight, okay, who will benefit from your study? Okay, if you are, go and read other thesis and see how other students justify, okay, how does your study actually contribute or be as, why is it your study significant? Okay, kenapa kepentingan kajian? Okay, in Malay we call it kepentingan kajian lah. So because you do not simply do a research for short sendiri, just for fun. Okay, you do a research because your research will contribute as an important contribution. Okay, has a significant. So who will benefit, so that you can discuss more lah in the significance of the study, which basically an extension, okay, sambungan from, you can discuss basically something similar that you write in paragraph 3 or the last paragraph in your problem statement, but you can provide more argument lah, more discussion in the significance of your study. Okay, so scope of the study is just maybe 1 or 2 lines only lah. The focus or the scope of the study will involve UUM student or UMCOB student. Plan of the study is basically this one, organization of study. Okay, I will prefer you to use the word organization, not plan of the study, but both are correct lah. You can use plan of the study or organization of the study. So what is organization of the study? Is basically you are just mentioning chapter 1 will do what, chapter 2 will do what, chapter 3 will do what. Okay, it's just a simple this one. Chapter 1 focus on this, chapter 2 is about, so just a small paragraph. Chapter 3 is about what, chapter 4 is about what, chapter 5 is about what. So basically this is quite general, except for chapter 1 and chapter 2, because you need to mention something specific for your project. Chapter 2 here in this particular thesis is about FDI. So the student mentioned chapter 2 is a theoretical discussion on foreign capital inflow. So this must be related to your thesis. Okay, but for chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5, I think it's quite general, meaning that there's no, you can use similar writing style, okay, for any project. But for chapter 1 and chapter 2, it must be related to your particular project, okay? But the writing for chapter 3 comprise of this. Chapter 4 is about what, chapter 5 is about what, okay? When you refer to some other thesis, okay, it is more or less similar among other thesis, okay, when it comes to the organization of the study. Okay, this one. Yeah, this one. So the student here, you can put in separate paragraph like this, or you can lump together in one paragraph. You can, because this is not the main thing. Just just part, and is just following the format of a thesis. A thesis will have plan of the study or organization of the study. So this is not an important section, but you must include that as well. Okay, so what do you plan to do for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3? Okay, so you can see that chapter 2 is more related to your topic. Okay, but chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5 is something quite general. So here, the writing for this can be used for any project, for any title, okay, except for chapter 2 and chapter 1 lah, because I think that is more related to the particular project that you are doing. Okay, and then that's it. Summary chapter tak payahlah, this one no need. Okay, so you can stop until organization of the study or plan of the study. Okay, so that is what is required of me by this coming Sunday, meaning you have around 1 week to do it. Okay, so I will specify in the online learning in your OL how many pages are required, especially for this background. Okay, because problem statement you know already, it shouldn't be more than 2 pages long. Okay, 300, 400, 500 words maximum. Okay, so this your so for those who are, I mean, if you are doing slightly a different topic or you want to revise them, so this is your so you can revise them, your problem statement in this week submission. Okay, this coming Sunday submission. But for, yeah, so I think the only new things that you need to add is especially for the background and the problem and the research question and also the objective. The rest is you can do in less than half an hour pun dah boleh buat dah, very simple. Significance, scope, and organization. Okay, so spend more time in writing or preparing the background of the study and also the research question and objective. But if you are following any thesis, so I think this shouldn't be much of a problem. Okay, but do not simply copy and paste, because I will do later on. Okay, you need to submit to Turnitin as well. Okay, and also whatever that you want to do, okay, even though you are following some other past thesis, okay, some you are using some thesis, 1 or 2 thesis as your reference, as your main example, you need to modify to suit the focus for your current project lah, especially if you are now we are in the COVID-19 season, so your background should relate something more about our current scenario right now. Okay, because maybe the thesis that you are referring was written 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, but you are doing a thesis right now during the pandemic season, so you need to include some information about the latest issue. Okay, as if you are relating to unemployment, for example, so pandemic COVID-19 is very much related about COVID-19. Okay, the same thing with online purchase, whatever lah, as long as it is related, you can include them in your study. I mean, in your background of your study. Okay, so okay. Any question?
Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask, when doctor will send you say like you will send to the online learning about which section, minimum page, how many
Yeah, yeah. I will put the upload. I mean, I will create the. I mean, list the instruction maybe later today lah. Later, by this evening, I should upload the instruction on your. I mean, it's just how many. For example, your background should be at least 5 pages long. You know, I don't want, because this is not a final version. This is just a draft. Okay, so I just want to see that you are on track. At least whatever that you plan to do, okay, you got some basic idea what your project is about, because at the end of the day, what you plan to, you will be using similar material for your individual assignment as well. Okay, so everyone must contribute. It's not like you divide the task. Okay, you do this part, I do this part, because everyone needs to come up with your own research project as well. I mean, the 3 chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 for your individual assignment. Meaning that you're gonna write your own chapter 1, chapter 2, and also chapter 3 for your individual assignment. So for the group, I mean, maybe I only require a few pages for the time being. Okay, because I think the main thing is we are already in week number 5, and the presentation or the oral presentation, the group presentation is scheduled around week number 12 or 11, something like that. Okay, so we have just around a month and a half before we can actually reach to that point where we're gonna have the group presentation. Okay, so there's still a lot to cover. Okay, so this coming Thursday, we will start on discussing on the literature review. How actually we want to discuss more detail. How I will teach you how to use Google Scholar. Okay, of course, we still have some time today where I will start discussing on the literature review as well. Okay, what is required for, what is a literature review briefly? Okay, what is required for you to include in your literature review? Okay, so that I will do in the next 25-20 minutes or so lah. And then we will continue this on this coming Thursday, okay, on the literature review. Okay, so the instruction I will notify, you need to check your OL lah. Okay, I will update on your WhatsApp, okay, when the instruction is live on your OL. Okay, so that is what is required. Okay, so spend more time on the background. Okay, problem statement you may need to revise. Okay, update them. Okay, but again, whatever that you submit, this is not the final version. Okay, so I don't expect that the quality or the length of your discussion that will be the final one. But at least you need to start writing. Okay, because we already in week number 5. Okay, sedar-sedar saja. I mean, we already in week number 8 or 7 already. So we need, because you need to start thinking about your questionnaire, okay, and you need to learn SPSS, also how to key in and analyze your data using SPSS. So there's still a lot to cover, okay, and you cannot wait until the end of the semester to start compiling and writing your project. Okay, it doesn't work that way lah. Okay, so for literature review, okay, so once you have a good idea of what you want to do, okay, what is the issue that you want to investigate, okay, what are the questions that you want to ask and you want to answer, okay, so that whatever issue that you highlight in your problem statement, you can answer them, okay, from the questions that you list down, the 3 questions or the 3 objectives of your study. Okay, and those questions that you highlight or that you write in your thesis, you must be able to obtain the information from the questionnaire that you use. Okay, so that will be a very important part lah. Okay, but of course we have not discussed about questionnaire yet, because questionnaire is part of chapter 3 about the method section. So we will get to that later. Okay, so what is literature review? Okay, the word literature is in Malay we call it ulasan karya. Okay, so in academic writing, so what is the main difference between academic writing and blog writing or newspaper article? Okay, so as I mentioned, academic writing is you need to provide references. Okay, who says this, who says that, And the most important thing about academic writing is not just using past study, okay, according to John, according to Martin, according to XYZ 2014, according to Mr. A 2020, meaning that you are referring to other people's study to justify your point. Okay, so that is one part of academic writing. Okay, if you read a newspaper article, okay, maybe you only say menurut or according to Prime Minister, okay, according to Menteri A, according to Minister B, okay, or according to Dr. A, Dr. B. So it's just, but that one is different because what they say maybe is just oral, meaning they only interview, okay, but academic writing is write article that is published online, okay, meaning that there is a process for you to, in order to get an article published, it must go through a series of process. It must be reviewed, must dinilai, okay, must be examined by experts, okay, and give comments and do revision before the article can be published. Okay, because that's why we have a journal that is based on ranking, just like a university. You have a university ranking, world ranking for university. Okay, the best university, the top 100, the top 200. The same goes with journal articles. They are journal by ranking, meaning good, very popular journal, very good journal, which is, in order to publish an article in a high rank journal is very difficult because it must go through a very strict process. Okay, the writing quality, the argument, the whatever points that you want to highlight must be verified, must go through a process of strict review, okay, before the article can be published. Okay, so that is okay. So going back to literature review, the word review is basically you will do your part. You will do a lot of reading. Okay, reading from past study. Okay, when you read the thesis that you are referring to, okay, or if the thesis is quite old, 5-6 years ago, so you need to find new articles because usually when you write a thesis, you want to refer to the latest article or latest thesis to as your source of reference. Okay, of course you can still refer to older articles, older journals. Okay, but you need to refer to the latest one, 2021, 2020 articles, so that your research become more current, more up to date. Okay, because if you are writing a paper today, writing a thesis today, but your references are already 10 years old, meaning you are referring to a 10-year-old article, then people will argue why you are not referring to the latest article. Okay, because maybe the whatever conclusion that you want to come out today is different from, people have done something different, or whatever it is lah, meaning you need to have a more recent discussion in your article. Okay, so that is a general overview about literature review. But why I'm using this thesis again, the thesis number 2, okay, in the Google Drive, okay, because the out of one thing, because okay, of course it's a PhD thesis project, okay, meaning that you can look at the length of the discussion is very long, page 41 until page 135, almost 100 pages long, which is not required at your level lah. For undergraduate, maybe your literature review only around 10-15 pages long. Okay, but whatever that you need to include in your literature review must comprise of 2 components. One is the theoretical section, 2.2 here. The other one is the empirical study, meaning a summary of past study that has done a topic similar to what you are doing. If you are doing on FDI, so 2.3 is basically a summary of articles, journals, conference paper that have done similar issues as what you are doing. Because whatever topic that you want to do, you are not the first one in the world to do it. Okay, so of course there are many similar or relevant articles that you can use as your references. Okay, but this is the one that I want to highlight is the first part here, theoretical background. So again, this is one of the main difference between academic writing and newspaper article writing. Okay, because if you write a thesis, if you write a journal article, okay, an academic journal article. Okay, what the main difference is when you write an academic article, it must be based on theory. Okay, that's why when you start your study here in UUM in the first semester, for example, or second semester for economic student, you learn principle of economics, microeconomy, and macroeconomy. Okay, for example, like principle of economy or microeconomy, you learn about the theory of demand and supply. Okay, so what does the theory of demand and supply says? Okay, especially for the theory of demand, when price goes up, quantity goes down. Okay, so and the demand curve should be downward sloping. This is a common or basic theory in demand. Okay, price goes up, quantity goes down. Okay, so you learn this in your first year. Okay, so and then this is in terms of theory. So how do you want to prove whether this theory in the real world? You need to collect data, okay, collect data about prices and also about the quantity demanded. And then you can see whether the downward sloping demand, is it the same as in theory or is it not the same as in theory? Okay, so that's why we need to have a theoretical section because whatever study that you do, academic writing must be based on theory. You cannot simply write a paper or write a thesis when there is no theory that discuss that particular issue. There must be some theory, one theory, two theories that you can combine. Okay, so maybe you are at your level. Okay, of course, if you are referring to some thesis, the thesis already has provided you with the theory that is commonly used in that particular topic. So for this FDI topic, okay, the theory of economic growth, foreign debt and economic growth. So these are discussion about theory, okay, that are related to the topic that the student is doing. Okay, of course, being a PhD thesis, there will be more discussion lah. So where do you get these theories from? One main source is textbook lah. Okay, textbook that you learn from your first semester, okay, or from journal articles. Some journal articles have, do have section on theoretical discussion, but not all journals. Some journals has no discussion on theory. It depends on the length of the article because journal article is quite short, 15 muka surat, 20 pages long. So some article does not have a long discussion on theory. Okay, but thesis, yes, you need to have a discussion on theory because without theory, the thesis means nothing. Okay, so any thesis, whether it's master's thesis or PhD thesis, you must have a theoretical section, a section that discuss on what is the theory that you can use to explain the issue that you are focusing. For example, on this entrepreneurial topic, okay, if you look at the table of contents, okay, you can get the idea what is the theory or what is the structure lah of the thesis. Okay, so underpinning theory here, you can see page 17. Okay, so if you go to page 17, mana dia sini? I think even the table of content pun is not accurately okay. Mana dia? Yeah, this part, okay, underpinning theory. So the theory of planned behavior, TPB, which is, as long as you do topic on intention to do entrepreneur, intention to purchase halal, whatever, this is the common theory that is used to discuss the intention topic lah. Okay, so this is the theory that you need to use in order to actually investigate the factors that can influence the intention to to do entrepreneurial, intention to buy whatever, and this factor lah, subjective norm, perceived behavior. So this is a standard component or standard theory that people will use whenever you are doing topic on intention. Okay, but whatever it is, you must have a section on theory Okay, and that theory should be related to the topic that you are doing. If you are doing topic on unemployment, so there must be a theory that discuss about unemployment. What are the causes for unemployment? Okay, so those must be based on theory from textbook or theory that you can find from journal. Okay, without theory, the thesis means nothing, because it's just like you just simply write without having a section on theory. Means the thesis has very less meaning. It is no longer an academic writing. Okay, so that is what one of the main difference between academic writing and newspaper article writing. Okay, because whatever argument, whatever discussion that you want to ask, it must be, you can use the theory to actually explain. Okay, for example, if you're talking about the cost of living, okay, topic on the cost, increasing in the cost of living, meaning you are talking about inflation. Okay, increasing inflation will cause purchasing power to drop. Okay, so what are the economic theory that discuss on the theory of on the topic of cost of living? Okay, on purchasing power. So there are theories about purchasing power parity, PPP, I mean, or whatever theories that can be used for you to actually explain, okay, whatever that you want to discuss or you want to investigate. So that whatever findings, whatever answer that you get at the end of your project, you can always refer back or reflect what the theory says. Is your finding consistent with the theory or not? Okay, for example, the demand and supply just now. P goes up, Q goes down. Price goes up, quantity goes down. If your findings from your study, okay, when you do the analysis, you find that when price goes up, quantity sometimes goes up, sometimes goes down, meaning that your findings does not always follow the theory. So you need to provide the reason. Why is it when price goes up, quantity sometimes goes down, sometimes goes up? So you need to provide the reasons why. Okay, because the theory says this, but your actual findings says differently. So this is the discussion that people want to see. Okay, when it comes to academic writing, if the theory says A, but your finding is B, or completely different, so maybe there's something wrong with your method. Okay, but if you can provide justification, maybe Mr. A also finds something similar. Mr. B from journal A also finds something similar, meaning that when price goes up, quantity also goes up. So what are the reasons for you to actually explain that behavior or that relationship? Okay, so whatever it is, you need to have two components in your literature review. One is the theoretical discussion. Second part is empirical study. What is empirical study? Basically, it's a collection. Okay, kumpulan is a summary of articles. Okay, maybe that are related or relevant to the issue that you are discussing. So for this particular topic on FDI, you can see that the student put 2.3.1 is about articles that are connected on foreign capital inflow and banking currency crisis. So whatever that the student decide to discuss, whatever the discussion here is related to the questions that the student actually want to investigate, okay, or the issues that the student want to investigate. So I think to make things simple, okay, for your discussion, when I mentioned that in your chapter 1, okay, under the research question, if you are required to have 3 research questions, okay, 3 questions that you want to answer, that you want to ask, and also which will form the objective of your study. If you got 3 questions, then there will be 3 objectives. Okay, so for example, if your questions are related to, let me go back to this, okay, this is, okay. So for example, if your questions, let's say you are doing this particular topic, okay, your question is about risk taking. Is it related to intention to do, for entrepreneurial intention, achievement, and also education? So there are 3 factors that you want to highlight or you want to investigate. Okay, so these 3 factors, okay, surely there are articles or journals that already study on this factor, okay, on entrepreneur intention. Of course, maybe not in UM lah, done maybe in other university or other country, in whatever lah, meaning that the scope is not UM. Okay, the scope is different than UM, meaning the sample can be done, maybe the study is done in the US, in the UK or whatever, but this factor might be might be the same. Risk taking, achievement and education on entrepreneur intention. So these three factors that you plan to investigate, it must be reflected in your empirical study. So for example, 2.3.1, it can be risk taking and entrepreneurial activity. 2.3.2, it can be achievement and entrepreneurial activity. 2.3.3, it will be apa tu? Education and entrepreneurial activity. So what it means by that is that you are trying to find articles that has evidence to show that each of the factor that you want to analyze, okay, there are people who have done what are the findings from Mr. A, from Mr. B. Is it positively related? Is it negatively related? Okay, so this is what you, of course, okay, I can only talk in theory, but you need to read lah. Read from the thesis, see how other students discuss them, okay, or lay out their chapter 2, the literature review. Okay, of course, I will be discussing more on this coming Thursday and maybe next Monday as well. Okay, and then maybe we can proceed to the next chapter, chapter 3, okay, on the methodology, because we need to learn about sampling. Okay, because our data is based on sample, based on questionnaire. So there are a lot of discussion on sampling. Okay, which sample, what is the minimum sample size and whatnot. Okay, but before we go to that chapter 3, you need to know how to write literature review. Okay, so the first will be the theoretical discussion. Second part must be focusing on empirical study, meaning what other people have done that I mean on similar issues as yours. So because you have 3 questions that you need to ask, so if you have 3 variables like what we discussed just now, for example, gender and intention to purchase, okay, ethnic groups and religion and its connection with intention to purchase. So you can divide your empirical study here into 3 items, meaning that gender and intention to purchase, okay, ethnic groups, religion and intention to purchase. So for each of the sub item, you can summarize articles, okay, summarize articles for by those who have actually done, okay, topic related to ethnic and intention to purchase. Okay, let me go through. Let's see one example from this thesis. Yeah, for example, this one, entrepreneurship education. Okay, we know that education is one of the factor that can promote entrepreneur intention. So, for example, Udin and Bose, okay, Jia, Komin, Shina, something like this, okay, according to Ray 2010, education is essential to understand entrepreneurship. So these are the studies that are related to the factor of education which promote entrepreneurial intention. So this is how you want to actually categorize your chapter 2 under empirical study here. Under empirical study, okay, so you might want to have the discussion based on the questions that you, the 3 questions that you asked just now. Okay, if you got 3 questions, okay, each question will represent one sub item lah in your chapter 2 here under empirical study. So you can see here, for example, under education, according to Ray 2010, okay, maybe, you know, in each of the section, you may want to use 2 or 3, at least lah, 2 or 3 journals, okay, that has done something similar on, I mean, that provide evidence on education as a factor to promote entrepreneurship, okay, according to Ray. But okay, Ray is 2010. So this is what I mean by using latest article. Okay, this year is 2021. So you cannot have all your references to be this old, meaning that it's already 10 years old. So you might want to refer to article, let's say 2018, 2019, 2017, at least 5 years ago. Okay, the more recent, the better. Because if you don't refer to latest article, meaning that you have not done a proper literature review. Literature review means you want to go for the most recent one first, paling terkini. 2020, 2021. If you cannot find the 2021, you go down 2020. Then if there is no 2020, go 1 year lower, 2019. I'm sure that because your topic is very common that you do, so there are plenty of references or articles out there, okay, in Google Scholar that you can find that can provide you some additional references. Okay, so the thesis that you are referring to, I'm sure is not the latest one. So you can use them as a guide, okay, but you need to add more recent article in your literature review. Okay, you cannot simply copy and paste what the student, what the thesis that you are referring to, because most of the thesis that we have in the Google Drive is quite old already. More than 5 years old. So the references used is also quite old already. Okay, so I require more of the references to be within the last 5 years. Okay, 2019. You can use older article, but not too many lah. Okay, if I find that most of your references are old, meaning that you have not done a good job in finding the latest one, the more recent article related to your particular topic. So this is a good example. According to Ray, education is essential to understand entrepreneurship. So article by Ray here mentioned the factor of education, which is one of the question that the student want to ask, or is asking about the factor of education. Okay, is entrepreneurship education related to entrepreneurial intention? So one of the article related to this is by Ray 2010. Okay, of course there are more than one article beside Ray 2010, so you can add one or two more articles, okay, especially the more latest one lah, 2019, 2018. So I will show you how to find latest articles from the Google Scholar, okay, by using existing article, and you can see who actually are doing similar topic as what you are doing, but using more recent, lebih latest articles, so that you can include them in your literature review. Okay, so that will be the discussion required lah. But of course, this one you can focus later. But for the time being, for this week, focus on your chapter 1, especially on the background, problem statement, research question, and objective. Of course, the rest you need to provide as well, but I don't think it will take much of your time. Maybe just a few, 1 hour, you can finish already the scope, the plan, and the contribution or the significance of the study. Okay. So I need to see more lah on this background, because background you have not submitted anything yet, only problem statement. Okay, in the last submission. Okay, and that even I think many of you did not do. You need to rewrite lah based on the scope of your study. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Okay, I expect more discussion on this coming Thursday. Okay, not a one-way discussion as what I'm doing today, because the thing is that I need to finish as much content as possible, then we can have more discussion, okay, on the following lectures. Okay, so any last question before I end our lecture today?
Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
may I know at the same time we also want to focus our individual assignment or not?
Yeah. I mean, you can start writing but the individual, I don't need you to send right now. Meaning that the submission online is the one is only required for group, because the individual maybe only towards the end of the semester, because I assume that when you have written for your group, meaning that you got the same idea how you want to write for your individual. The only difference is the style of writing lah, meaning that you cannot copy and paste exactly as your group assignment and resubmit that for your individual. Okay, so but for the submission is only for your group. But I think we agree that the topic for your individual assignment can be the same as your group. Meaning that if you're doing topic on entrepreneurial intention, for example, then you can use the same one for your individual. Okay, but bear in mind your individual you only require chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Okay, no need to have the chapter 4 and 5. That one is only for the group assignment. Okay, but you can start you can start writing your chapter 1, and then followed by chapter 2 and 3. Okay, so I will
Then
upload the instruction on your OL hopefully by end of today lah.
for the individual assignment, may I know for the research objective the the problem statement we use the same content or we need to change a bit?
No, sama lah, same. I mean, if you're focusing on UM as the scope, then the only difference is just the writing style, because whenever you write in group, there's a tendency that the quality of writing is not good because you are dividing tasks among your members. Okay, so and whatever it is, I expect the quality of writing for your individual to be much better than for group lah. Okay, because you are doing the same thing, but then you have the more chance actually. I mean, you can write longer if you want to. I mean, I think I have not specified what is the minimum pages, but you can start writing on your introduction for chapter 1, okay, and then I will update you guys later on what is the maximum length of your individual and also for the group. But for the time being, I wait for the instruction on Sunday punya submission lah, next Sunday submission, how many pages I require for the time being. Okay, so that is not the final version, just a draft, so that I can see that you know what you are doing. Because the last discussion that we had, I think many group need to change their topic or the scope of the discussion. Okay, so I want to see that you are much clearer now what you want to do. Okay, and that you have some better idea how you want to actually approach your research. Okay, so it's already 1 o'clock, so I'll see you next Thursday. Okay, so thank you. Okay.